Well, greetings, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 173. Who would have thought? We're live most Wednesdays. We usually take 1 week off a month. This month, we might take 2 weeks off. Anyway, we're featured live. We're also on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. I'm huffing and puffing a little bit because I couldn't find my dog as we were getting ready for this session in the interest of full disclosure. Anyway, what is a light bulb moment? It's a sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. Remember, you can't start a fire without a spark. Hopefully you get a spark today. At Qnity, we're here to help you go from what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated to a simpler path towards prosperity. And to prosper, remember to manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. So thanks for spending your precious time with us today. We love hearing from you. Submit light bulb moments of your own in the chat on our website. JP from the team monitors the chat, so feel free to stay active and let us know if you have any light bulb moments of your own. You can go to our website to register and learn more. Within Lightbulb Moments, we've now done enough episodes that we have sort of sub-themes. And I've been speaking about this in recent weeks. This week, we're going to really feature a segment we're going to start to go much deeper into. We'll call multi-gen/succession. Throughout this forum, we always or frequently talk about succession planning. We have guests, etc. But we're going to formalize this a little bit, and we're going to have a series in the series, also addressing things such as multi-generational family business. And our guest today will be the perfect kickoff to formalize sort of this new theme within the themes. Other themes that you're going to see in upcoming weeks and next year, we'll continue to get into the subject of careers in beauty, featuring some very cool and inspiring stories. Data, certainly data insights and trends is a regular topic for us. And then we also are addressing technology, paying particular attention to tech and touch, and the marriage of great technology and the marriage of great touch. So these are some of the themes that we'll be exploring as we go into next year. Today, we will get to these two individuals very shortly. These are familiar faces and past recipients of a $1 million light bulb because they always provide some $1 million insights. So very shortly, we'll bring to the mic DEBRA NEILL Baker and GARRISON NEILL of the Neill family of companies, which to me is a very, very great example of multi-generational leadership, succession planning, and all of that. So some very cool stuff coming up. Familiar faces, great friends, personally, the family, et cetera, the business. But I think you're going to get to dig a little bit deeper into some of the keys to success that's taken this business into more generations than most people can even imagine. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, recent episodes. I had an episode last week on something called The Strangest Secret, sort of the grandfather of motivational thinking by Earl Nightingale. It was just sort of a visit into the past, definitely vintage material, but that was an episode we did. Prior to that, we had Megan Jasper on. Megan's on all the time, but she keeps coming up with great nuggets. You got to listen to this episode. She turned a situation that was pretty negative and basically saying you got 90 days to get a new phone system, and turned it into a big win. And it was a lesson about the future of technology, the future of front desk, customer service, whatever. And AI and all that stuff. Great episode by featuring Megan. Prior to that, we had Naomi Bren, who's Director of Marketing of Verde up in Canada. Great marketing tips. We really featured her because she was one of the many stars at the 2 to 10 conference, and she gave some very practical tips on how you can get your team to be more involved in social media. Lightbulb Moments is proudly sponsored by Lightheart Sanders, the CPA firm, Green Circle, and Forest. Don't forget to check out Erin's podcast, Erin Kuhn-Bensali. She's got some amazing money stories. I don't know where she comes with some of these guests, but definitely check that out. Also, I'm going to sort of in tune with what we're talking about today. We are currently working with a cohort group of owners, helping them with their succession planning, Heath Smith and myself. It's a closed group. It's going fantastic. We're about 6 months into it. We will be forming a new group after the first of the year. So that's a bit of an announcement. You go to our website to learn more. There's all the things that are featured, whatever. It is an application process. But for those that are more intentional about working on their succession plan and need some support, this is could be a wonderful opportunity. Um, Also, I do want to make mention of we've had two major data projects this year. 2024 chain compensation study. You'll be hearing about that more in the media and that kind of stuff. The report is issued, and it will be soon in the public. It is a look at compensation for the largest chains. Remember, our compensation studies aren't comparing different segments of the industry. They're more about telling a better story about earnings in the industry. So that's that. However, what's hot off the press, and I believe it's going to be our very first episode after the first of the year, is we will go through our findings through an unprecedented P&L study, 2024. Last time we did this was 8 years ago. This is breakthrough data. And it probably is a good time to give a shout out to the Neill family of companies because they were one of the sponsors of this study. So stay tuned. My head is just spinning with this data. It is going to change the landscape of how people benchmark in the future based upon real data. We have over $440 million of data by this cohort group that we created. So stay tuned for that. More coming after the first of the year. All right. Before we get to the Neills, I'm going to give them my light bulb moment of the week, okay? And what I'm also going to do is I am going to take the share screen down. And what we're going to do is we're going to stop the share. And I want to show you something that is a little bit in season right now. Are there any introverts on this call? If so, put your name in the chat. Of course, the introverts don't want to come out, so they're not going to put anything in the chat. But whether you're an introvert, whether you're an ambivert, whatever, sometimes I'm an ambivert, by the way. I mean, I can dial it up and be totally extroverted, and then I can crawl in a hole and be very, very happy man. But this is holiday season, and there's a lot more social activities. And when you're married to someone whose social battery increases as the night goes on, and my battery decreases as the night goes on, I got to give a shout out to the Qnity team because they gave me this little device here, and it's called a social battery. And essentially, what you can do is slide it. So I was out with my wife the other night, and she was like way the hell over here, you know? And I'm like, I get up early in the morning, so I'm literally just kind of sliding this. And finally, she got the message and we were out of there. Anyway, hopefully your social battery is alive enough in the holiday season to have a lot of fun, but also be respectful of those that you're hanging with because they might be ready for bed. Anyway, that's my light bulb moment of the week. All right, with the Neills, I'm going to reintroduce a feature that we had in Lightbulb Moments and we sort of went away from. And that is doing a 9 grid of the session. I've 9 gridded our whole session today. Garrison, Deborah, so we're going to follow this format, and I'll go through it at the end. We had a little bit of a prep call yesterday, and we know each other so well that we're thinking, okay, how much of the story do we tell, and how much have people heard, whatever. But really my takeaway after just a prep session with Deborah and Garrison, there's a lot of lessons, folks. There's a lot of lessons that we're going to pull out And I have a bit of a new perspective also on succession planning, the Neill family, whatever, which we'll get to. So anyway, without any further ado, let's bring Deborah and Garrison to the mic in the forefront. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good. How are you? I love your battery, the measuring stick on your battery. That's
Yeah, that
was
made me laugh for sure.
yeah, very much so, because I've always thought I was antisocial, even though people would never believe that, because I can turn it on, but I'm an ambivert. I didn't realize that.
Top performers are actually ambiverts. There's a lot of research in all of that. But yes, thank you. I'm so glad that we have this time. And I was inspired by Beauty Changes Lives big forum back in April, and they had all of these family businesses, the Shaws, they had the Neills, they had the Passages, the Zanos, and I thought, Lightbulb Moments is a great forum where we talk about succession planning, but you're really the kickoff session with other and very inspiring family businesses. So thanks for being part of this. I'm gonna kick this thing off. We could have an entire session just talking about the Neill family business history. And I'm gonna with your permission, I'm gonna do a quick summation, okay?
Let's see how you do.
But yeah, let's hear it. Flip chart or no flip chart?
Yeah, really, I want to hear.
I got no flip chart. The business was formed in the 40s, we'll say 46, 47, by Abner Neill. And he was a very much, we'll call it sort of a salesperson type era. I mean, that's who he was. And then his son, Edwin Neill II, AKA Smokey, who was a mentor of mine, came along and he brought the business to the next generation. And I would say that was a very entrepreneurial generation. Truth be told, none of these individuals did it alone. And certainly in the case of Edwin Neill II, he had a very strong partner, present company, which is DEBRA NEILL, which not only brought an entrepreneurial era to it, but also a strong focus on personal development that really defines who Neill is today, with a lot of credit given to you, Deborah. Then
that's because I needed a lot of self-help. That's where it started.
Then we're going to move into, I'm going to refer to this as Gen 3, and this is where Edwin Neill II came in, a lawyer by training.
The third.
What's that? I'm sorry, the third.
It's
Edwin
okay.
Neill III, E3. I love Edwin, and I know secretly he loves me too. He has done a fabulous job of really navigating a very diverse set of businesses, very complicated, and has done a fantastic job. Again, let's take a village within the family and then family, non-family. Then we're going to get to what we're going to call Generation 4, which technically it still is Generation 3 because Edwin the third and Garrison are brothers. But due to age and other factors, so Edwin's not working in his 90s, we're going to refer the Garrison generation as Gen 4. And that consists of Garrison Neill, it also Tatum Neill and Paris Neill and, whatever. Did I sum it up okay so far, you guys?
Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
I have not done my research on this, but it has to be a very, very nano fraction of businesses that make it this long. All right. I mean, this is phenomenal. 4 generations going strong. So now we'll get into a little bit of the why, okay? And then I'll lead this into, you get to hear from both of you a little bit more. One key, I think that both of you called out, was you had guidance. And I'm going to break guidance into 2 categories. Let's first talk about guidance in your particular case through an affiliation with a family business center at a university. So Tulane University, why was that guidance so important? What did it look like? And that kind of stuff. So I'll let either one of you jump in on that.
Well, Garrison, I guess since I'm the eldest, I should probably it started. We we got involved with Two-Lane Family Business, and I don't really exactly know how we made the connection, but we got involved with them like, I don't know, 35 years ago. And we started going to their monthly forums. And we would also invite, I mean, Edwin and I would go, and then we'd also invite, other members of our leadership at Neill Corporation. And that relationship, we got so much value out of it. And it continues today. I mean, Garrison has carried it on. It looks a little different than it did, but that really supported us through. I mean, especially when Edwin II passed so untimely and unexpectedly, the support and the thinking that they had instilled in us made a huge difference in that transition.
Garrison?
Yeah. And I think for me, the thing that there's a few, I'm a networker, so I love going to the family business forums and networking with the local business owners. But the thing that really resonated with me is that, we're all very different, diverse set of businesses that are part of it, but we all kind of deal with the same issues as far as, there's family dynamics. So like introducing corporate governance, the idea of boards, really thinking about succession strategically. Those are all things that really interested me. And we got to hear from great family businesses. They would bring family businesses in from all over the world to present to us. And it would all there was all something, a nugget that connected.
I mean, to me, part of what it must do is kind of normalize what otherwise might feel normal. I mean, normalizing family business and normalizing succession planning.
Yeah,
Agree?
totally.
Agreed, because the family business has some very unique navigate, we have to navigate it. It's a it can get very it's very intimate. It's very the ownership and the relationships. But I just want to add something about the Two-Lane Family Business that our late Edwin II was so committed to, that brought us to Two-Lane Family Business, was that he always saw a lot of value and benefit in having what he called a third opinion. And you probably remember that terminology, Tom. It's from like a long time ago. And he always invited consultants and people outside of the salon business to support us in our thinking.
Yeah, it's so funny because that's also, I know, maybe we talk about it a little bit later, but that's kind of the ethos too of what you are doing daily with Serious Business too, Mom. It's like bringing in outside thinking has always kind of been core to Neill's success.
Yes. Yeah.
I would totally agree. And, I've had a front row seat to validate what you're saying here. And regarding family business centers, we'll have the Passage family on here, Robert Passage and at least one of his sons, and they're very committed to the Loyola University Family Business Center in Chicago. I'm gonna go one step shy of necessarily endorsing family business centers as the only way that you can get guidance and support, but it certainly is a great example and a big key to your success. All right, I'm now going to go to Garrison, and here you are. I've seen you grow up in this industry, literally and figuratively, all the way back to 2 to 10 when you were part of the emerging leaders, and you're a young man still, but you were even much younger, and I've seen you grow up. And there's a couple things that I want to distill that really I think are keys to success for you. And first one is working outside the business. Why don't you discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up, I always worked in as many parts of the business as I could. And, my wife and I talk about this all the time, like waiting tables and working in a salon are so similar. It teaches you how to interact with people. So I think I learned a lot of my early on like development skills, like of how to connect with people through my parents' leadership, but also my time working in salons, probably from the age of 10. But you know, I went to Tulane here in New Orleans, and then after that, I had the opportunity to go back into the beauty industry, and I decided that I was kind of exposed through a class to the startup world. And I decided to pursue a career outside of beauty and outside of the family business. So I went and worked for a startup in San Francisco. And it was sales. It was pretty brutal. It was something like Boiler Room or Glengarry Glen Ross, you know, like sink or swim, coffees for closers kind of experience. And it really, it was a huge benefit to me. And it was, I would say that was a light bulb moment for me because I realized that leaving the family business gave me this whole new perspective that I could now come back into the company. And, you know, I just had a different reference point. And it was huge for me, foundational. And you know, I would encourage. I many times I'll mentor Tulane students because I am a alumni. And one of the advices I always give the family business kids is that they should go and experience another company before they just join back at their family business.
Deborah, your perspective when he, you know, the before, during, after of him going outside, you know, going outside the business. I mean, what was your perspective? How did you see the growth?
I fully supported it. I mean, I think that other experience gives you more tunis. And look, we have some family members that work in the business, a couple of them that haven't really done what Garrison did. And it's not that you can't be successful, but I think that experience gave Garrison just expanded his insight around business, sales, relationship, all of that. He was exposed to so much that was different, yet paralleled some of what he was going to be doing in the company.
But it also, and I know that, you know, this is on your 9 grid, maybe further down, but like the idea of being able to find success on my own really created this level of confidence. So like being able to leave the company and know that like I could be successful with or without it gave me a whole new confidence in life, to be honest.
Well, you know, as probably all of our listeners know, and you know too, I can relate because we have a family business, and Aaron did exactly the same thing. And Garrison, it sounded like you probably have compared notes because it was not an easy job. I mean, it was sales, it was grind, it was cutthroat, and all of that. And but I got to tell you, her development was just the acceleration of her development was just dramatic. So I'm a big advocate of that. All right, let's get to another part of your development, Garrison, here. And so there's leaving the business, but I also think that something is really important to discuss is getting your sea legs actually running a business unit, a revenue center, business unit, company, whatever. It's going to vary, but in your particular case, it probably was divisions or companies. So could you describe a little bit what that looked like and looks like and how it helped you?
Yeah, just so also just for reference for the listeners. So really like Neill is my dad's vision of the company was to be totally vertically integrated, right? And so he wanted to have many options to help salon owners grow. So we have beauty schools that we own and operate. We have a distribution company. We have hair extensions, and we have a salon division. And the salon division is called Paris Parker Salons. We also have 3 barbershops, and I am responsible for running that part of the business. It really, you know, and I guess the way you should think about this is maybe someone that has like 3 or 4 salons or even 10, maybe it's not the idea of running a whole division. Maybe it's a certain project or a location, but being able to run my own business unit and having my own success has given me, confidence. I think when I try to think about this, I want to say like, there's a lot of pressure with filling the shoes of the great leaders before me. And the pressure is still on, but the anxiety is lowered, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a really great call out. That is a light bulb moment in and of itself. You mentioned that yesterday, made total sense.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I got to give you credit too, Tom, for, look, mentors are really important for everyone's development. And you have been a mentor for me. And I really appreciate, what you did with the emerging leaders group also furthered my development. And I mean, from that first project that we won, we were in Salon today. I mean, I have a salon that is based off of that concept today.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, it's great. So thank you for all your support along the years.
Well, that whole idea of emerging leaders, I think, thank you for that. That was very nice of you to say, and I'm proud to be any part of your career. But a lot of that came in conversations I had with like Deborah and Edwin. It's like we really have to take a stand and do something for the next generation. And perhaps we should do a throwback episode, Garrison, on those projects. I'm going to do a quick description because what we did is we had a competition. We arranged all of these emerging leaders. It was under 30 years old, put them into 3 teams. And then they had a project and they had to work together remotely over a few months, do a presentation amongst judges. And there was winners and there was articles. It was really cool. We need to do it again in the future. But anyway, all right. So Deborah, running a division, anything else that you want to say about that? Again, we're looking at the Neill situation, but also broader for our listeners, the relevance. I mean, any comments?
Well, I don't know if you're ready to move on to another light bulb moment. We talk about family business and the dynamics that can be unique to family business. So it's been about 25, 28 years ago, we were introduced to a woman who is a family.
It's next on my 9 grid.
Okay, so I'm taking us there. So we were introduced to this therapist who did generational patterning. She studied generational patterns. So we started working with her because you can imagine we're a big family. I mean, you're talking about 7 siblings and 3 mothers, 1 father, all of that. So we started working with her and worked really intimately with her and still do to this day. Now she's also accessible for employees, but that was something that no one was doing. And it's made a big, it's really helped us be stronger and work through the unique dynamics that come with a family business. Because sometimes the reason that the companies or businesses don't get to the next generation is because it's a family conflict,
Right.
So we have worked through all of that. And I'm very proud to say that we've never, as a result of doing that work and being aware of that, we've never had real serious breakdowns.
I think that is an incredible accomplishment. There's accomplishments that are measured by data, whatever, but what you said, and I witness it knowing all the family members, it is incredibly healthy. And you don't see that dysfunction. And I've got to think this is a big piece to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was going through that program too, really was another foundational thing for me though, because it gave me perspective because there was one part of the workshop that I did with her that was a bit of group therapy with other business leaders and family members. And so I think that the thing that really made the most sense to me is like we all have patterns. And, you know, the way that our parents were raised affected the way I was raised, and understanding those patterns and parts of your personality directly to relate to how you show up as a leader. And so it was really about understanding what your strengths and weaknesses are and really working to your weaknesses and shifting some of the patterns for the better.
Yeah, because we all bring all of that personal stuff. We all bring it to work, you know? So,
You-
but you know my philosophy, and it's really become, I think, its core to Neill Corporation is that we think that all business development is really sourced in personal/leadership development.
You know, staying with the guidance that you're getting from, we first talked about guidance from professionals, family business center, then the other guidance is more therapist, whatever. I think a hidden thing that is so important about this is that this extends beyond the family, because it's one thing to be within the family circle, but what if you're in a leadership team with a family circle? And my understanding is that this person is also available to key members of your executive team. Is that correct?
Absolutely. She works with our leadership team in general. But that is all, I think that's also been like, that's one thing that I learned at the Tulane Family Business Forums as well, is like, it's not about just the family growing, it's also about the leaders in your company. Because one of the most important, like one of the hardest things can be, how do the outside family members work with the family members?
Deal with and work with, yes.
Because there's the dynamics between the family is one thing, but the dynamics between the family and the employees is a whole other thing.
Yeah, no, it's this is so right on. And again, I mean, this is a classic case study, and the widely popular Succession series that is sensationalizes dysfunctional succession planning, is here's all the keys to the opposite of that, strong communication, guidance, transparency, and all that kind of stuff. But now, there was something else I was going to say about that regarding the guidance. Well, actually, I want to transition into something else right now. And we're going to come back to some of the family business and succession related things in a moment here. But Deborah, we've generalized in summing the different generations, and clearly, I think what you brought to the business, not alone, of course, but with this idea of what you said just a few minutes ago, and that is rooted, personal growth is really at the core. And here we are, 26 years, serious business coming up in January, which I think I've probably been to 23, maybe 22. And what I love about it is a lot of different things. And but just hold on a quick second here. Do we have a surprised guest joining us today?
Erin.
Hi. Hi, Garrison. Hi, Deborah.
Hey,
So
Aaron, what's
cool
up?
to
See your face and hear your voice.
I know it's been way too long. So good to see you both.
So obviously, none of the parties knew that this was going to happen. So, but I thought, how could we go through this episode without bringing it into Aaron? Okay, now I'm gonna cry.
Well, I remember, sorry, I got a message saying to come onto this episode. And so I don't know if you talked about it, but Deborah, I credit you. Did you already talk about this on this episode?
No, we didn't, but
Okay.
I remember
Mhm.
we talk about serious business, and now you show up in this conversation. I remember conversations on the floor of serious business with you.
Mhm. Well, and I remember a text message specifically where I was making a pretty big decision, like, do I join or do I go do my own thing. And you sent Tom a text. And I remember we sat there and read it, and you said something like, family business will be one of the greatest gifts. Like, I can't remember the exact words. Do you remember that text, Tom? We were in the kitchen.
I might
I
still
don't
have it.
remember it.
Yeah, you might still have it. And I
still
was like, and then Garrison and I called you a couple times about, multiple things. But I remember I was like, okay, like so I really credit you with helping, and so much has been accomplished, I think, from you really helping to maybe give me permission. I don't know, maybe that's what it was. Maybe I felt like I needed permission to say, okay, family business isn't a backup, it's a choice, So thank you.
No,
For sure.
Well, it's,
my privilege, my honor.
and it's pretty cool to see the Garrisons, the Aarons of the world, and the Austin Randolphs and the Lucas Council.
Hey, it's moving. So
Yeah.
your fears are really just an expression of how meaningful this is, that we have our kids here. And I mean, I just feel, lucky, blessed. And anyway, it's a beautiful thing.
So Aaron, you've had no prep into this, and you're coming in cold here, but I think the timing of your entrance is great, because we're going to get into a topic in a moment that I think is going to be interesting for everybody. But before we do that, I want to get a little bit of closure on serious business here, because Deborah, it's coming up in how many weeks now?
But in about
4 weeks.
4 weeks. Yeah, it's about a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
January 12th and 13th. And it's our 26th year. And we're still, I mean, it's I think that the two events that really kind of demonstrate or express the Neill's commitment to elevating the entire industry is actually Serious Business and Elevate, because they are neutral. It's a place where we can all come together. We're not pitching products. It's no connected to a brand or manufacturer, although, hey, our relationship with Aveda, I credit that relationship for really impacting the quality of life that we at Neill all have. And so, but Serious Business really is it's the forum that is about personal leadership development and business development. And, we bring in outside speakers, and then we have breakouts that I always say that the general session is really where people get the why and what if from the speakers and authors and teachers. And then the breakouts are where you get the what and how. So it's an event that is focused on supporting all of us, and what Edwin was all about, reaching our potential.
So I'm going to get into a final topic here in a moment, and that would be unique family business dynamics given the two of you, et cetera. But just another minute on Serious Business. And in terms of the guests that you're most excited about this year, could you just give us a 1 minute just recap of some of your favorite guests?
I avoid doing favorites. I stay really open, because I think everyone has, and but one of my intentions, the intention of Serious Business is to expose, evoke, and evolve our thinking. So the theme this year is evolve. And one of the topics, we always like to bring topics that maybe we aren't that comfortable discussing, but with the passing of Carol Augusta this year, we're going to honor her when we open up on Sunday morning. And then following that, in memoriam, we're dedicating, the first speaker is who's become a very famous death doula. Her name is Alua Arthur. Mel Robbins has had her. She's really gaining popularity. And I don't want people to think that it's her talk on death is dark. It's really about how to live, that death informs how you live your life. Anyway, I'm very, I guess, excited about that because it's a new topic. And I like to do that. I like to bring that to the event. And there'll be there's business leadership, there's AI, there's much more. Just go to, follow us on Instagram and you'll get all the information you need.
And Qnity, we've been active exhibitors, partners for, out of the 26 years, I can't even count how many. And then we've also had a Qnity dinner there every year on Sunday night. So, so excited. It really, I think, is a great marker on the calendar to start your year off. So we're excited about that.
It's really like a family reunion, isn't it?
It very much is.
Well,
All right.
I was gonna say, my favorite speaker, or one of the ones I'm really excited about this year, is a professor named Michelle Johnston. And the reason I'm so excited about her is one, because she's local. She's a professor at Loyola of New Orleans. But the thing I like most about her is I think her message is so digestible. And it really resonates a lot with me as the next generation of leaders are kind of stepping into the businesses, because what she talks about is the seismic shift in leadership. And with me, and I think my generation, again, thinking about how the ones before us led, I mean, this is all about connection. Leadership today is about connection drives results. And the command and control style leadership of the past is no longer the way that will work. And so anyway, I'm super pumped to have her.
Well spoken, Garrison. All right. Final topic is on my 9 grid, and for us, and it's good Aaron joins us, is that so there's unique dynamics. We have mother, son, and but then you throw something else in there called grandparenthood. All right. And so now you're not only dealing with your son, but you're dealing with the father of your grandchildren. That changes a lot of different things, I will say. But where I'm going with this is we got 4 generations pretty solid here. What about 5? Are we going to make it to the 5th generation, guys?
I'm not gonna predict that.
I think we will. Again, this is one of those ideas that I think adds a lot of pressure to what Aaron and I and the next generation is dealing with, and so a way that I have dealt with this is that if I really think about Neill, look, yes, we're an innovative distributor, but the reality is before that, we worked with other brands like Redken, Paul Mitchell, Mini before that. And what I think about is that really our whole legacy is our impact on the planet and having a positive impact. And so when I think about that, the next generation will continue. I am 100% positive that they will have a positive impact on the world. In which form, that I think we still don't know. But I'm very confident that the 5th generation will be successful.
And whatever they decide, and whatever how this unfolds, I've got it. Business has all this opportunity, and I think that because business has an opportunity, I think business has an obligation, and that's also been part of our approach. Is that as business owners, we have an obligation to have a positive impact, and I agree, Garrison, that no matter what the future looks like, that will continue.
I think it's healthy to have a detached viewpoint. I feel the same. I mean, in terms of, I'm just pleased that the business that we're in is in another generation. And to me, it's just icing on the cake if like baby Rian or baby whoever else has an interest. But I don't think about that. I just think about what a cute little guy is, by the way.
I'm just enjoying them. Oh.
Deborah,
Yeah,
this
I
is a
mean,
permission to show your grandchild.
I know, but you know
Okay.
what? I've got 3 granddaughters. Garrison gave me 2 granddaughters. Paris gave me a granddaughter, and now she's about to have a boy. So it'll be our first boy in 25 years.
wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm enjoying. I never thought I'd be the kind of grandmother that I am. I
That's
mean, sometimes I feel like super grandma.
Yeah.
Well,
You are.
what people don't know is these little humans put a spell on you, and it's instantaneous, and it's just from the very first time you see them, they just put a spell on you. And you can only understand that once you become a grandchild. All right, let me get Garrison and Aaron. So both of you are now parents, one more recent than the other. Aaron, parenthood is new to you. How has that changed you?
You know, it's so interesting because I talked about this with Michelle. Michelle's on our team. She's our COO, and she has 6 children. And I think I lived before being a mother. I think I approached leadership and business maybe not as empathetically as I could. And I think now that I have a child, I really, and I know this is the Neill way, right? Like you guys are all about people. And it's like, it's funny because I've been exposed to that pretty much my whole career. I've gone to serious business every year, talk about serious business since I was 20, I think. I mean, like a decade. I've gone every single year. I haven't missed one. And so a lot of my professional development has come through exposure to Neill and serious business. And I really, when I look at him and I look at people in business, I'm like, every person that I'm talking to is just trying to take care of their family. And we all want the same things. We all just want to provide a good life. We want to have healthy, happy children. And like everything else is gravy. You know what I mean? And so I think it's made me a little bit more, and when we talk about business, Garrison, the business was established when you came in, right? So we have very different backgrounds of when we came into businesses. I came in, it had been started for a year. So it was very much a startup and a very different phase of building versus continuing to get kind of to the next legacy. So that's kind of a different, different perspectives that we've both had. But I think I kind of lived on a little bit of adrenaline because it was like, how do we continue to evolve and grow and hit, make sure we can continue to grow this company, which now it's become. And it wasn't always easy for many years, as you guys know as well. And so I think now that we've gotten out of the natural stage of frankly startup survival, I can think a little bit more clearly. But I think it's made me a better person. I think it's made me kinder, more empathetic, and like less, not that I was ever cutthroat in business, maybe direct, but I don't know if that makes sense. This was not rehearsed or prepared, but that's kind of I just feel more human, and I feel like I look at people in business with more of a human perspective.
Hey, there's nothing that develops us more than parenting.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
get
I mean,
developed.
Totally agree.
Garrison,
I mean, it really is, being a parent is about being a leader. And I
Yeah.
think having kids just makes, if you're really intentional about it, just makes you a stronger leader.
But
Totally agree.
I think we should include that because there's people out there that don't have children.
Yeah.
We're talking about that parenting. If you own a business and you have people working with you, you are parenting.
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
For sure.
I'm going to tell a little quick story because Aaron mentioned going to serious business in for a very, very long time. And Aaron, you probably know this story. So we were there, and Aaron, I don't know, it was maybe 10 years ago, whatever.
Oh
And
God, don't tell the story about Deb.
I'm going to tell the story
Oh
about
God. Okay.
And so Aaron and I are standing there, and here I am, a happily married man at that point for probably 30 years, whatever. And here's this young blonde next to me, and I think we embraced or something or whatever. And there was a former coworker from Jute there, and she had met Aaron when she was just a little tiny kid, but she had no idea who it was. And she was just aghast, thinking that, I'm fooling around and what the hell's going on,
That's a story that I would like to never tell again.
That's funny.
Absolutely
She was
hilarious.
appalled though. And she
She was
said she
appalled.
was having a full panic attack watching. I mean, it's
That
not
is
like, I
funny.
think we hugged or something, like we were standing at a thing. Yeah, whatever.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm looking at the clock here, and I do have some formalities here. So first of all, what I'm going to share, and going forward, I'm going to try to do this as often as I can. Here's my 9 grid from this episode. Okay, I'm going to kind of walk you through it. First, a little bit of a brief family history about the Neills, breaking down the different generations. Real quick, before we go any further, I wish Edwin II could have been on here, but I was protecting his time because he's a really big part of this, and I want to make sure that we call that
Absolutely.
out. So just, okay. Um, we talked about guidance coming from Family Business Center or experts. We talked about working outside the company, which Garrison mentioned was a key to success. Aaron has also talked about that. The opportunity to run another business unit being a key to success. Guidance that comes through more therapy and communication that wouldn't necessarily come from a Family Business Center, and how that might extend to non-family members. I just looked at our roster here, and I know there's people out there running businesses that are family businesses, and they're very high up in the chain, so they can relate with that. And then unique perspectives, mother, son, grandparent, and all that kind of stuff, and then a little bit about serious business. So let's everybody give Deborah and Garrison a virtual round of applause there. Give them a little shout out. You should have another one of your $1 million light bulbs coming out. This also makes you an honoree at the 4th annual Sam Bricata.
Yeah,
Hi,
Sam.
Sam.
Hey,
What's up,
Sam.
Sam?
Hi,
Speaking of
Sam.
family,
You sure you can't come to serious business? I think he's got a conflict, but I was hoping he'd resolve it and be there.
I
Pressure.
lost my train of thought on that. Anyway, but yeah, I love this episode. I love you guys. It's really great to have you kick off this series. For the rest of you listeners, stay tuned because we're going to be profiling some other great, we'll call them multi-gen, succession type stories. And what phenomenal guests you guys are. Thanks for being such great friends, mentors, partners, and all that stuff.
Thank you,
And Aaron,
Tom.
thanks for joining us without notice, without script, or none of this is scripted anyway, guys, so this is all unplugged. So
Thank you. And Aaron and Tom, relationship is the key to the universe.
there you
Mhm.
go. All right, everybody.
see y'all
Best.
soon.
Have a
Thank
happy
you.
Bye.
business.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Garrison. Bye, Deborah. Great to see you.
Bye.